Alright guys, so today I want to talk about the magic trick to understanding harmony and really knowing how chords and voice leading, all that works. And it's this wonderful little structure known as the rule of the octave. And the rule of the octave simply means we're going to go up an octave in the scale, just do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, or minor, we do go do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, just the melodic minor going up the scale. Today we're going to talk about the ascending rule of the octave. Friday we'll talk about the descending rule of the octave. And so let's go to the whiteboard and just kind of play around with this, see what we've got. So you may remember from our three-voice rule of the octave, we'll start with the pentachord. We'll start with the ascending do, re, mi, fa, sol. And that'll be our point of departure for today. Do, re, mi, fa, sol. It's a great progression in the bass. I mean, if I could stop here and have a nice all half cadence, I could, tonic, do, re, mi, that's all tonic prolongation with the passing tone. Do, mi, fa, plagal, sol, authentic. It makes a great phrase just to go up do, re, mi, fa, sol. And you probably remember our three-part voices. We have one line, we have a discant cadence at the end where we're going up by steps. So we're going to have the sixth dropping down to the third. Going to have things resolve contrary to that bass. So let's write our voices. We had a lovely cantisonance voice. Do, ti, do, re, ti. There's that sixth dropping down to the third that sounds so great in that discant half cadence there. And some nice parallel thirds. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, sol. What a great lines these are. Do, re, mi, fa, sol. Mi, fa, sol, la, sol, and do, ti, do, re, ti. And you put those together and they just sound absolutely fantastic. Now, if we take a look at what intervals we have involved here, do and mi, there's a third. It implies a 5/3. I don't have the fifth present. Re to fa is a third. Re to ti is a sixth. Mi to sol is a third. Mi to do is a sixth. Fa to la is a third. Fa to re is a sixth. And sol and ti, there's a third. And it implies, again, the 5/3, and we've left the fifth out, as we often do in three-voice structures. Now, if we want to go into four-part structures, we can do that. We can also, even before we go to the four-part structures, we can change things up a little bit. From our oral theory classes, we've actually been, instead of do, fa, sol with a fa 6/3, we've been doing fa 5/3s, which means instead of going do, ti, do, re, ti, I could very easily instead go do, ti, do, do, ti. And that would sound just as good. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, do, ti, do, do, then stable do resolving to the ti. And that would be instead of the fa 6/3 then. We could have a 6/3 there, or we could have a 5/3 there. Both of them sound great. I could use the re and the do. Watch this. Use the do as a passing tone here, right? Do, ti, do, re, do, ti. That sounded fantastic. We did the 6 moving to the 5 over the third. So we've had options available to us to kind of change up those voice leading lines. And so I just wanted to point that out even before we go to our other voice, that these were some lovely, lovely little voice patterns that we had over the top. All right, so now let's go ahead and add in another voice and see if we can write in some nice voice leading here. So first of all, I'd like to have some full harmonies. Full harmonies are good things. So why don't obviously I need a sol, right? And then I actually have my fifth. And I need a re, right? Because I've got sol and ti, and I need a re. So we'll put a re in there. All right, let's connect things. Sol, okay. Well, let's do a voice exchange, shall we? Why not start with a voice exchange? I've got mi, fa, sol. Let's go sol, fa, mi. Technically, it crosses the voices. I'm not concerned about voice crossing right now. I'm just kind of messing around with lines. Sol, fa, mi. Obviously, come down the scale. Sol, fa, mi, re, re. Notice that now with 4 voices, I have both the 6 and the 5 on my fa chord. And so I've got this nice little 6, 5, 3, or 6, 5 for short. And that's the standard 4-voice texture on a fa, is to have that nice 6, 5, 3. Knowing as well that, we could have just 2/3 of that. I could have just the 6, 3. I could have just the 5, 3. I could have 2/3 of that. We generally like to have the third. I wouldn't leave the third out. But just different options there. There'd be nothing that would stop me, from going do, re, do, ti, and having the 6 moving to the 5, and have a 6, 5, 3 with some voice leading motion in it. That said, I'm doing some voice crossing, so let's go ahead and uncross the voices. So we'll allow, we'll pretend that we're on a piano and we're actually playing the notes present. And so what I would actually hear then is I would hear those voices cross: sol, fa, mi, re, re, like that. And this one would come up: mi, fa, sol, la, sol, like that. And that sounds fantastic. All right, let's do some other writing, because the only thing about what I've done now and rewrite these voices is a lot of them are very singable. Do, re, mi, fa, sol. I love that. Fa, mi, re, re. Sounds great. Do, ti, so fantastic, ti, la, sol, sol, fa, sol. I don't love sol, fa, sol. It's countering, it's going against gravity. It's going against magnetism, because that fa kind of wants to pull to the mi. Sol, fa, mi is such a better line than sol, fa, sol. So let's get rid of that. And in fact, what I can do here is I can actually do the following. And that is I can just, we know the best friends of re, fa, and ti. We know our dominant 7th chord, re, fa, and ti. Sol hangs out well with them. So what I could do is just this nice little voice like this. Sol, 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 la, sol. And that's a wonderful voice. Now what that did here is I added to my 6, 3. Re to sol is a 4th. And so I actually created a 6, 4, 3 here, which can also show up as it turns out, just the 6 and the 3. I'll bet this is another situation where I can have 2 of the 3 numbers. So I'll bet instead of a 6, 3, I'll bet I could get rid of, let's get rid of this one, and let's keep the other 2. Let's keep a 6 and a 4, see what happens. I definitely want that 6 because re and ti, I definitely want that do, ti, do motion. That sounds absolutely wonderful there. So I'm not going to get rid of the 6th. But yeah, this is going to work actually. It's going to work very nicely. I'm going to get rid of the fa. Just like that. Oh, now I can just set up like a voice exchange. Do, re, mi, re, do. Mi, re, do, re, re. Hey, that sounded fantastic. All right, so what we've done as we've been exploring these voice structures is we've learned certain things about how we harmonize certain bass notes. So let's now break things down and explicitly point out the things we've learned from writing these voice leading structures. And this is our rule, the octave, or the ascending pentachord. First rule, we know 5/3 chords are stable chords. They want to go on stable points. Our 2 strongest notes in the scale are do and sol. So do and sol. Take the 5/3. These are points of stability. Secondly, in between, and you remember back when we started with our 3-voice texture, everything in between, the re was a 6/3, the mi was a 6/3, the fa was a 6/3. And so, just like we were talking about in aural theory recently, the chord of the 5th is stability, the chord of the 6th is motion. 2. Re, mi, fa. Take 6-3. Chords of motion. And now there's some special things to remember here. And this is what we've now introduced is dissonances. 5-3 and 6-3s are consonances. You know, the 5-3 is a stable consonant, the 6-3 is an unstable consonant, but the 3rd and the 6th are consonant with the bass. They're consonant with each other. The instant I introduce that 3rd note in, suddenly, or the 4th note in, suddenly I've got crunches. Let's go back to our 6-4-3 version here. That had a mi, fa, mi here. Mi, fa, mi, re, re. The instant I do that, look at these crunches. I now have sol and fa, and they're a second apart from each other, so they crunch with each other. Re and do, that's a 7th, or do to re is a 2nd. Those are dissonances. And so what I've created now are dissonant structures. And so we've learned about 2 of our dissonant structures in this part of the rule of the octave. We have the 6-5-3. Notice that the 6-5-3 appears right before a sol 5-3. It goes up by step to the 5-3. We are always going to see a 6-5-3 resolve up by step to the 5-3. It's just the way it works. 6-5-3 resolves up by step to a 5-3. In this case, fa 6-5 resolves to sol 5-3. It's just the way that particular dissonance works. When we go up the ascending tetrachord, the sol, la, ti, do, you guessed it, right before the do 5-3, I'm going to have a t 6-5. And so that 6-5 going up the scale, always right before you hit the 5-3. So 6-5-3 resolves up by step to 5-3, and it's just the special. It's the upward dissonance. And we learned that the fa 6-5-3 can show up. We can do different things with it. I can do a 6-3 and leave out the 5. I can do a 5-3 and leave out the 6. Also appears as 6-3 or 5-3. We're going to learn the same thing when we do our ascending tetrachord, that the T can have a T6-3 or a T5-3. It just works well. These are incomplete versions of the fa 6-5-3. The last chord we learned about here is we learned the 6-4-3. And sneak peek for Friday's discussion when we learn about the descending tetrachord, it works just as well to go backwards mi, re, do and have that 6-4-3 passing in between. So 6-4-3 goes up or down. It can go either way. Resolves up or down. Notice that on one side of it is a 5-3, the other side is a 6-3. So either we have, this going up 5-3, 6-4-3, going up to 6-3, or we could use it going down 6-3 down through the 6-4-3 down to the 5-3. Works both directions. And you saw that again it can also appear. So this is what I call passing dissonance. It doesn't have to go up. We're going to learn one dissonance that has to go up, the 6-5-3. We're going to learn on Friday one dissonance that has to go down. And then we have this one that it's the flexible dissonance, if you will. It can go up or down. Also appears as a 6-3 or as a nice passing 6-4. I can leave the 3 off and it still works. And by knowing this rule of the octave, suddenly I can harmonize all sorts of things. And so let's come back over here to my voice texture. I'm going to write myself a new melody. Let's write some parallel thirds with my bass, and then we'll go contrary. mi, fa, sol, fa. I don't want to go mi, fa, sol, fa, re. Let's go mi, fa, sol, fa, mi, re. I can already tell I've got that mi over the sol and I've got re. I'm going to stretch out. I'm going to decorate my sol. Not a simple half cadence, but you know, compound cadence, half cadence. We're going to go the cadential 6/4 to 5/3 here. By knowing the rule of the octave, I already know the other voices that would sound good with this. If this were my melody, I would already know how to harmonize it. Because I know voice leading rules. Do, ti, do sounds fantastic. Do, ti, do, and then, oh, do, do, ti. Because I know that that sounds fantastic to have that do over the top of the 6/5/3. Or I could have gone do, ti, do, re, do, ti. I could have done either of those there. They would have sounded good. Great, I know how to plug in another voice. Sol, 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 la, sol. And just knowing these voice leading voices, it becomes really quick and easy to write these chords. And now you can see, I accidentally erased that, but yeah, there's my third, there's my sixth, there's my fourth. Okay, yeah. So in this case, I either had a 5/3 if I'd use the do, or I had a 6/3 if I'd use the re. Yeah, and so knowing your rule of the octave suddenly makes it really easy to harmonize ascending notes in the bass. And check out your examples in Noteflight that are linked in Moodle.